Cool, cool. Now, the next question that I had, Brian, was I appreciate that. Thank you, by the way.
Sure thing, man.
The next question was I was dealing with Fred and Chuck, and the static here for the city is 67, 55 residual.
Mm-hmm.
Pump that he spec'd out, we're flowing at 1,000 GPMs. We got 59 PSI, and then I might sound pretty ignorant and probably don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the fire pumps, but isn't that mean that you should have the 59 PSI provided by the pump flowing at 1,000, and the static or residual provided by the city? If you were to add those pressures together, isn't that what you have available for your system demand?
Well, assuming that your system demand is exactly 1,000 GPM, which it should be for this 3 standpipe system,
Uh-huh.
um, the available pressure on the discharge side of the pump would be the combination of the rated pressure and the available residual pressure from the city supply minus the friction loss through valves, fittings, and pipe
Correct.
between the test point location and the fire pump.
And the reason I'm sorry, keep going. Just say
No, that was it. That's all.
And the reason I was saying that was because when I talked to the pump specialist, he'd mentioned that this pump should be sized correctly and it should work for the demand needed. But as you can see, I'm pretty still below what is needed for this pump. So I know I was supposed to get back with Chuck today about this pump, and I figured I'd talk to one of you guys and make sure I was doing my stuff correctly on the program. If I maybe was missing a box or checking or something that I was doing wrong, to show that it's not working.
Understood.
When he seems to think that it should work.
Sure. So if we let's do this. Let's go to printing file, print hydraulic reports, and then let's select the hydraulic analysis box. Excuse me. And then click preview report. Yes, sir. Manually flowing devices. So what I would recommend doing is when you meet with your pump guy, just have this with him or have this with you. Be able to provide this. So this contains all of the relevant hydraulic data that would be needed for analyzing the performance of a pump with relation to or with regard to the demand of the standpipe system.
Got it.
So this will tell you what your starting pressure is, what your starting flow is, 100 psi at 250, and then the pressure summary. You can see that we're losing pressure through friction through these segments of pipe, the 2.5 inch, the 4 inch, the 6 inch. We're losing 20 psi in elevation, and then when we get to the pump, we have a demand of 136.5 psi. The pump is accounting for 59 psi, so now our demand on the suction side of the pump is 77.5 psi. And then it continues to, compound pressure from that point back to your supply. So from your pump back to your supply, you're losing 12, 13, 15, 16, almost 17 psi is accumulating. So this has all of the relevant hydraulic data that your pump guy would need to hopefully understand why this pump is not sized correctly.
Gotcha.
For the demand. Now, you did mention something about 65 psi. So part of this might be that when this building was constructed, and there still are some existing considerations in NFPA as well as the ICC codes with regard to standpipe systems, specific classification of standpipe systems where 100 psi at the roof is not required. Instead, 65 psi is required. Old versions, I think 65 was the standard. It didn't used to be 100, but that was way back when, long before, I
You
even
know,
knew.
you know what? I think you're absolutely right. Now that I think about it, looking back at the as-builts, I think it was the demand was a lot less for those hose valves.
So if you shave 35 psi off of your starting pressure, that's basically the safety margin, the negative safety margin that you're getting now. So, but again, now we're talking about kind of replacing something, and a lot of fire authorities, when you replace something, they're going to say, oh, well, now you need to meet current code or current standards. You can't. So things they'll allow things to be grandfathered in as long as you're not replacing major components. I've dealt with fire authorities that they say, oh, you're replacing the fire alarm control panel. We'll bring everything up to code.
Yeah,
If you're going to
yeah,
replace
no,
one
that's-
device, that's fine. Everything can stay, but you replace the brain of the system, and the fire pump, man, that's it. That's the thing that's doing all the work. So just some tools to put in your tool bag to use when having conversations with pump reps and fire authorities of considering what would be appropriate for this scenario.
Yeah, I think there was the 65 at top.
Yep.
And I'm trying to do 100 at top, so that's probably it right there.
Yes, sir. Looks like it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I know I could always count on you to help me, so thank you.
You got it, man.